Okay, we have some familiarity. If I meet you in the street, come up, say, hey, good day, get a cup of coffee or a beer, that's fantastic because we have some sort of familiarity. When someone's just an email address or a voice, there is not that sort of connection. And when you deal with the thing about Chinese people is they're wonderful people and they love social connections. They're all about social connections. And they'll do stuff for a friend who they have guanxi with, right, and a warmth with that they would never do for a complete stranger. So you might find you might be a smaller customer with smaller quantities, but because you've actually spent the time to get to know this individual who has their own life and their own story, they're there to make money as well and to provide for their family and their children, right? And they know you want the cheaper price, but everyone needs to make money along the line. Is that fair enough? So they want to be part of your story. You have to understand, we're absolute heroes. You're talking about a country that 20 years ago was completely communist. And now they have all these TV shows and everything happening about Australia and the Western world. And we're like heroes. They love that we've got all this technology, we've got all this amazing lifestyle and all these products. They would love to make friends with you. Go there, make friends with them. Hang out with them. Grab a drink. Right? Actually make friends with these people who are just like, they love your lifestyle. They love that you're from Australia. They'll always ask you personal things. And this is the point that I really want to bring up, is bring gifts. And it doesn't have to be a $100,000 diamond ring. Right? Just get something sweet from Australia, like a koala from a souvenir store, a koala with the flag on it, probably was made in China. And just say, look, this is for your children. And if you actually give it with warmth and a genuine heart, right, they will feel that. And guess what happens the next time the American customer has a problem, you have a problem, who are they going to help first? You. Okay? Don't forget guanxi. So go to China. And a good way of actually developing guanxi, besides giving presents, karaoke and vodka. Right? So, I mean, that's it. I've actually gone out and had fun and had drinks late into the night with the factories and with people I work with in China, developing friendships. Because when you actually call someone, right, what if they're actually looking forward to your call and they're excited to hear your voice? You can choose to make money here just to make money, or you can choose to have like a warm lifestyle or enjoy your work. You can go to work every day dealing with people in China, complete strangers who become your friends. And these people who, like my dad and Uncle Julian, right, like they're best friends. Like my dad actually, because my dad is the type of person who doesn't like to wait for things. He hates waiting in queues. He doesn't drive a day in his life. He likes to be driven around. And what he said to my Uncle Julian was, could you have a phone in your office that's only for me? And he had a whole phone line and a phone installed just for my dad because he's my dad's best friend. Right? And that type of service, you think my dad got cheap prices? I mean, that's how he built the type of empire he did and got Donkey Kong first and all these agencies. People love to work with people they like. I mean, it's just common sense. So that's a big point there. Make friends with people. Okay, so now we're going to move on to quality control and inspection of goods. Most people come undone here. So what I'll do is I want to make a list of faulty goods. I want to actually put a list on the wall and what can actually go wrong with the product that you're importing. What is faulty? Give me a list of things that can actually go wrong. Okay, so it doesn't perform its function. Okay, doesn't perform function. Okay, what else is faulty? Sorry? Okay, so it's dangerous. That's a good one. Yep.
It's not as advertised.
Not as advertised. Okay. So what else? It could be cheap materials. That's a big one. Cheap materials.
Can't get parts.
Sorry?
Can't get parts. Spare parts.
Why would it be faulty? Like, why would... the question is, what could possibly... If a product's in faulty that you imported, what are the problems? It breaks when you use it. Doesn't perform this function. That's pretty much it. So you understand what could possibly go wrong. Make a list and turn it into a checklist. So this is good, because when you're actually inspecting the good, you need to have a checklist. You need to know your product inside out. So there are different standards in Australia for different products. Like, for example, I want to talk to you about the Australian Communications and Media Authority. Right? They contacted me, and believe it or not, there's actually regulation for this. Right? The planes that ever been on a plane, they're like, please turn off your mobile phones and all those electronic devices, and you're like, This doesn't really matter. Well, I had the Australian Communications and Media Authority, and they contacted me because they needed me to show them that the pull starter on the motorcycles, which let out a frequency, didn't interfere with planes flying overhead. Like, there's actually regulation for that. And I had to get the C-tick approved and all these type of things. You need to know your product inside out, because this is a problem that can occur. So there are certain standards, also known as the ISO 9001 standards, which are the international standards of certain products. So there's a thing called pre-inspection, and you need a team on the ground in China, and we can help you with things like that. But pre-inspection, you want to get some samples and you want to conduct an audit. And we all talked about the auditing, yeah? You see that the factory exists and everything's good there. But during inspection, you can have the inspection done by two people, either the factory or an auditor. Can anyone see the problem of getting the factory to do it? It's a conflict of interest. I've done it before, I won't lie. I have got factories to do it. But what do I get them to do? I get them to show me a picture of all the goods zoomed out, right, so I can see the actual total quantity. What else do I get them to do? Sorry? Close-ups, different angles, right? And I want to see that it's produced to the same sort of standard. Another thing you can do, and Alex has something, is you can give your factory auditors on the ground in China a $100 item, which will be worth tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands to you. Alex, do you have that flip video with you?
Yeah, can I just show the factory?
Yeah, everyone have a look at Alex.
This device can be purchased online. I think most like Dick Smith, Harvey Norman, it's at 100, 150 now. It used to be a lot more expensive. I got this in the USA when it wasn't available in Australia, but they can be purchased as low as $100 right now, and one flip of a button and the USB stick pops out. So if you get the inspection team on the ground to actually have a flip video, you press one button to flip to film the goods before they get sent to the docks to come to Australia. This provides proof that your goods are ready, and they can even open it up, they can examine the goods, you can go through, there's a lot of parts, a lot of, finicky things that open and swing. Your inspection team can film that, and...
if there's internet in the factory, right, then how soon after the flip video is inserted can you see the footage? Straight away. How long's the flight to China?
6 hours.
You save yourself 8 hours. No, it's 8 hours. Unless you go by KL and you want to save some money, go direct if you want to spend a bit more. You go first class if you want to spend a bit more than that. So 8 hours to the flight. How much is the ticket? We think about what, $500 plus maybe $800 maybe. So you can do that by having a flip video. And all you have to do is pay the auditing team in China to take a photo of it for you, a flip video for you, and send it to you. How awesome is that? Right? You have eyes and ears in China through something like as simple as a flip video. Okay? So get one of those, it will save you a fortune. The next thing I want to talk about is post-inspection. Right? You should have by now have paid 30% to the factory, not a cent more. Right? Because they need to buy material. A lot of guys think, I'm not going to pay 30% because I'm going to get scammed with 30%. Well, think about the factory's perspective for a second. Okay? As long as the audit checks out and the sample checks out and you've covered all those bases first, you then need to pay 30%. So then you go to the factory and you say to them, I don't want to pay 30%, I could get scammed. Well, how are they going to actually pay their workers to produce it? How are they going to pay for the raw materials in the first place? They need that 30% as an insurance because they know that you're actually serious. And when someone actually pays money, it means that they're serious about doing something. So that's what happens there. And what you do is before you pay the balance of 70%, before you pay the balance of 70%, you do what's called the final inspection. And that I recommend you have a team for, not a flip video. You test 5%. Statistically, 5% is the safe amount. Any less than that, then you could be in big trouble because you might have just got the lucky ones. And 10%, if you're really finicky, I don't really mind you do that. But you don't seriously have to go through every single one of 1,000 widgets and see it's perfectly. That's just not reasonable. Because if there's no problem with 5% of them, it's probably a good order. But if you see anything wrong with 2 or 3% of the 5%, then probably 40 to 50% of your orders screwed up. Can everyone see that? So that's why you need to do that. So what you need to check is, firstly, I want to talk about labeling. You need to label it to say that it's made in China. I've got a funny story about this. Do you remember the breath testers I talked about earlier that I made good money from? Well, those breath testers, when I first imported, I forgot to put a label on it that said, guess what happened? So I go there, I'm going to go pick up the goods. The customs say to me, you have to come down to, I think, Clyde or Granville, wherever the international office is. And I literally had to go through 1,000 breath testers, take stickers, made in China stickers, right, and put them one by one on these products. Right? It took me hours. Do you know how much that sucks? Spending hours. And how much would it have cost me to do this in China? Nothing. Labour's cheap there. Right? So I learned the hard way. Label things made in China. Please don't make that mistake. It's actually to protect consumers in Australia because we need to know where goods come from. And that's just a right that consumers have, that the government says we should have. And I think that's a good rule. Right? So the next thing is branding. Right? You've got your brand. Right? Pets Gone Wild, great brand. Samurai, great brand. Make sure that your brand is respected. That the packaging and labelling is done perfectly. The colouring is done nice because that's going to make an image in the eyes of the consumer. When you sell your successful importing business, 3 to 5 years later from now, right? It's those good choices you made with branding that are going to help you. Okay? So the other thing is packing. This is super important. You want to get a picture as well of the item in the container. Because if it's packed loosely, what's going to happen to your cargo as the ship sways? Yeah, and you'll end up with broken... Yeah, exactly. So you want to get a container load confirmation to see that it's safely packed. Use your inspection team on the ground here. We can help you. Actually, you guys don't really understand how cheap it is. It can be less than $500 to get someone to do this for you. We're not talking tens of thousands. Yeah? So that's all good. I want to talk about Aussie Bros Direct, my friends over here. They're a very interesting case study of what happens when you don't have an inspection team. So Matt and Isaac, who are over here, they've flown in from Brisbane. So before they actually started working with me, you guys tried it importing yourself, right? And you paid a factory 50% before we worked together? Okay, great. And it was time for them, I think it was a Saturday, and I just got this sick feeling in my stomach because I knew that their order was about to be completed. And that something just wasn't quite right. I knew there was something wrong. So I called up Isaac and I said to him, hey mate, look, sorry to bother you on the weekend, but look, with these goods that are about to be ready, what was the quality like, And he goes, I don't know, the factory said that they're fine. I'm like, no, what did your inspection team say? He's like, we didn't get an inspection team. So I'm like, dude, do not pay them the 50% until you get it inspected. Oh no, she'll be right. No, don't pay it. Do not pay it. And what ended up happening is these guys, we ended up finding an inspection team in China and got the inspection team to call up the factory. Right, it should have happened way earlier, and organise an inspection just to see everything was okay. He paid 50% here, 20% more than he should have. Right? Now, here's the thing. The inspectors never actually went to the factory because the moment the people called in Chinese, spoke to them in Chinese on the ground and said, we're going to come inspect the goods, what happened? They came clean?
Yeah, they came clean.
They came clean. What was the problem with the goods?
The materials weren't as described and there were different colours and just cheap material basically.
And would that affect your customers and your ability to sell it? Yeah. And how much was that order worth?
About 15 grand.
15 grand. Right? And he didn't actually end up having to pay just yet for the inspectors. That's going to happen soon. But the fact that they knew that someone was watching them, that someone in China was going to go over and see that everything was done right, it scared the hell out of them. And all of a sudden, oh, hang on, guys, wait. But if from the very beginning you set that impression that you know what's going on, you're not a silly Australian who doesn't know how to import, you're someone who's properly trained, who's got all the nous and the knowledge like someone like I does, they're not going to mess with you because they can see from the start they're going to be checked on. And just by having a physical presence in China, that's probably one of the best things you can do. Okay. So we're going to talk now about shipping your goods to Australia. Do you guys know that there's only 2 ways a goods can get to you? Okay? They don't materialise from a transporter. Right? They either come from the air or the... Okay, great. They come from the air. It's great because it can take 1 to 2, 3 days. That's great. So if you're sending things like these things, you think I shipped these on the sea in a 40-foot high-Q container? I sent them by air. Why? Because they're small. I don't need those economies of scale to save 2 cents. But if I'm bringing a motorcycle, how many motorcycles do you think I sent by air? Why? Exactly. So there comes a point where air is appropriate because of speed, but it's inappropriate because of cost. So that's there. I just put in